I think I'm out of my depth when we talk about AI. It's not something I know very much about. But I think what we saw were two almost polar opposite ends of the spectrum. One, what you were doing, which is taking the necessary infrastructure for AI to operate, the data centers, and seeing how you can make them work as part of a living contemporary city. And Emmanuel, I think what you were doing was really interesting at a sort of almost granular level of what happens when you start to think about how the different pieces interact. And I was reminded when you were talking of one of the presentations this morning. I think it was about the one about the Grand Mosque in Medina, where the idea was put forward that in this very dense urban environment, each of the different buildings is affecting all the others. And I think that's a very interesting way in which you thought about taste and food. You know, each individual component affects how you perceive and what you can do with the others, if you're a chef at least. So I think what we've seen here is some quite alternative notions of what AI can do in terms of making cities, in terms of making architectural experiences. And I suppose a question to both of you, and respond in turn, is where would you like to go from the project you presented today? What would be the next stage of an AI city or an AI experience?
You want to go first?
You can go ahead.
I believe that this type of infrastructure, data centers, that beginning there were at the outskirts of the city, they are, every time they have been developed closer and closer where they are required. So I think we will be seeing more of this, and the role of the architecture will be higher now, as usually are developed of the engineers. Now they are part of the cities. So I think we play a key role where more of this project will be seen, and we'll have to start like questioning how we integrate them, how they relate to the neighbors, what spaces they could give, because they could be black boxes, but at the same time could be more things or be better neighbors.
Yeah, yeah. And that you can use the vegetation, the possibilities of vegetation in Rio to transform them in the way Votron Nia was talking before lunch about the waste to energy recycling building in Vietnam. That there, again, you've got an extraordinarily rich vegetation which you can use to disguise the bulk of the building.
I think we are under a very complex scenario. There is a concept called latency, which relates that the data centers, as closer they are to the end user, the faster the connection is. So in reality, all of our smart cities, self-driving car, 5G, 6G, all of our connections need to be supported by these type of facilities. And they are only going to become more common within our cities. That's a reality. These are going to be our neighbors. So we truly believe that it's a mistake to neglect that reality. And with this project, what we're proposing is to embrace that reality and think of it as, a different type of building that is almost purely functional, but it's going to be part of our cities.
It's almost like railways in the 19th century. Cities existed before railways, and then when they came, they completely transformed the relationship between cities, different parts of cities, and they required new, very large buildings on the whole. Anyway, Emmanuel, you'd like to say something?
Right, so in response to your question, I think the next step is really, as I showed in the last few slides, is trying to bring, currently the AI sort of working process has been very much textual, image focus. And therefore, this interest in the other modality, meaning the smell, the taste, how that may be part of the process. So that's why in the synopsis I wrote, if there's something that you don't want AI to do is quite likely eating, right? You want to eat it, you want to taste it. AI can help you to sleep, can help you to do the design or build the building, but probably you want AI to do these other stuff. So the next step is to begin to conceptualize how architecture can, not so much in terms of mimicking the food, but rather the very material and composition could sort of allow these different modalities to surface. So, new materials, what does it mean to have a space that has a particular gastronomic orchestration in there?
And I think one of the interesting things about what you're doing, and thinking of the relationship you made to neuroscience, is that you're taking AI as a way of re-establishing a connection, a sensory connection to architecture for people. I think that's something that's often overlooked when people talk about AI.
It's because if you have ever done any EEG measurement, the signals are always very noisy, and therefore naturally these sort of data heavy process require AI. But more crucially for my work is whether the AI could be a way to allow, almost like they use AI to do prediction, but in this case, like you could do thermal comfort prediction, you could do simulation, but whether AI could actually do these seemingly, difficult stuff,
Yeah.
like smell and taste.
Yeah. But hugely important in terms of how we perceive buildings. I mean, tomorrow, Ian Ritchie's keynote presentation will go into some of this, the relationship between the different senses and the effect that has on how we perceive buildings. That's just giving away a little bit, but whet your appetite for the talk. Anyway, I think that we've had some very interesting presentations, very interesting projects, and I think you've opened up a future, for me at least, to think about how AI and architecture will interact. So thank you very much.
Thanks.